If you're a swimmer, you know the feeling. You're putting in the hours, you're grinding out the laps, but you've just hit a wall. Your times are stuck. Well, today we're going to talk about why the answer isn't to train harder, it's to start training a whole lot smarter. Let's dive in. Does this look familiar? That feeling of a plateau? It's got to be one of the most frustrating things in all of sports. You're doing everything you think you're supposed to do, but nothing's changing on the stopwatch. The good news is, there's a really common reason why this happens. And here's the big idea we're going to unpack. Getting through that plateau? It's not about just adding more yards or trying to go harder all the time. The real secret, the real breakthrough, comes from understanding how your body actually adapts and builds speed. So to get smarter, we've got to get a little scientific. We're going to pop the hood and take a look at your body's physiological engine. There are two numbers that are absolutely crucial here, your VO2 max and your max heart rate. Let's break down what they are. Okay, first up, this term you might have heard thrown around, VO2 max. Now, it sounds really technical, but all it is a measurement of how well your body can grab oxygen from the air and get it to your muscles when you're working out. A higher VO2 max basically means you have a more efficient engine. Yeah, the best way to think about it is like the engine in a car. A bigger, more powerful engine can produce more horsepower, right? Same idea here. A bigger aerobic engine lets you go faster and hold that speed for longer. And that's exactly what we want to build. Now, a few things go into determining the size of your engine. Some of them are just out of your control, like your age or your genetics. But look at that last one, your fitness level. That is the one thing you have 100% control over. And this is so important to remember. It doesn't matter what cards you are dealt genetically, you can improve your body's engine. You can make it bigger and more efficient. It all comes down to how you train. So, to train effectively, you need to know your own personal limits. You've got to find your engine's red line. And for us, that's your max heart rate, or MHR. It's the absolute fastest your heart can possibly beat in 1 minute. So, how do you find it? Well, the most accurate way is a lab test, but here is a super simple formula you can use right now to get a really good estimate. Just take the number 220 and subtract your age. So if you're 30 years old, your estimated max heart rate is 190 beats per minute. That number, it is the key to everything else we're about to talk about. Okay, so you've got your MHR. Now let's talk about the single biggest mistake that holds swimmers back. It is a trap that is so easy to fall into. It's called the gray zone. So your effort can be broken down into these 5 basic zones, and they're all based on a percentage of that max heart rate you just calculated. Zone 1 is super easy recovery. Zone 2 is that nice endurance pace where you could chat with the person in the next lane. But as you get into zones 3 and 4, talking gets tough, and by zone 5, forget about it. That feeling is your best guide. And listen, don't just take it from me. The source material for this whole analysis hammers this point home again and again. This isn't just some small tweak. It's a fundamental error in training philosophy that holds countless athletes back. And here it is, the mistake. It's spending way too much of your training time in zones 3 and 4. That comfortably hard feeling. You know the one. It feels productive, right? You're breathing hard, you're getting tired, so it must be good for you. Well, turns out that's the gray zone. And here's why the gray zone is such a trap. The effort is too intense to let your body efficiently build that big aerobic base. But at the same time, it's not intense enough to trigger the changes that build your top-end speed. You're just kind of stuck in the middle, getting tired without getting fundamentally better. So if swimming around in that middle zone is the big problem, what on earth is the solution? We need a new model, a smarter one. It's all about getting out of that gray area and putting your effort where it's actually going to pay off. And the principle is actually beautifully simple. Instead of living at that moderately hard pace, you need to polarize your training. You're going to spend most of your time going pretty easy, and then a small, very focused amount of your time going incredibly hard. Just look at how this flips the whole thing on its head. In this model, a whopping 80% of your training time is spent in that easy conversational zone 2. Then about 15% is dedicated to that all-out high-intensity zone 5 work. And that gray zone in the middle, it shrinks to almost nothing. So the strategy is a 2-step process. First, you use all that easy zone 2 swimming to build a massive, durable aerobic engine. Then, you use those short, really intense bursts of zone 5 work to sharpen that engine for pure speed. It's like building the car and then tuning it for the racetrack. Okay, this theory all sounds great, but what does it actually mean for you when you show up to the pool tomorrow? Let's boil all of this down into a few simple, practical things you can start doing right away. It really comes down to these three things. First, know your numbers. Calculate your zones. Second, make a decision before you get in the water. Is today an easy day or a hard day? Stay out of the middle. And third, remember what you're training for. A sprinter might need a bit more zone 5 work than a miler, but that core principle, polarizing your training, is the same for everyone. So at the end of the day, getting faster isn't about finding more ways to suffer through a workout. It's about making every lap have a purpose. It's about getting out of that unproductive gray zone and really focusing your efforts. So the only real question left is, now that you know why this works, what are you going to change about how you train?